Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. Today we welcome back Benny Bluntz, or SmartContractor, to the show. It was pretty popular last time. Well done, Benny. I think I'll just bring it up. You were talking about another leg higher, and we've certainly got there. We've already put our nose above 60k. So that was a good call with the Elliot waves and the basics that we went over. If you want to check out that episode, I'll link it down below. But how have you been, Benny?
Good. Yeah, I've been good, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, that's my pleasure. And as I said, everyone really enjoyed this, so I'm going to try and do this monthly or semi regularly. What are we looking at now, mate? We've had this fifth wave up, but it's, as you said last time, these waves can keep extending. The market doesn't feel like it's had the blow off sort of top. I've been
Yeah,
cautious for a fair while, but then you just sort of hear these stories about the institutional buying that's just constant. We've got those stimulus checks in the background. Some of these alts are just parabolic, but I don't know. It's a hard market to read at the moment, to be honest.
yeah. I mean, right. So right now, obviously, it kind of looks like on daily on Bitcoin, we've sort of put in another high and a fifth wave up, but the structure just doesn't look right. I mean, it doesn't look right to be a blow off top. So I'm kind of thinking, even though on daily we did make a minor new high up to 61.5k, I kind of think that is still part of potentially a a corrective move. So I kind of think that it could be like a sort of a sideways triangle here where, I mean, do you want me to share my screen for a bit?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You go. I think you're talking about this sort of structure here. I'll let you show it, but
Yeah. So I'll just explain, like, there's some potential scenarios that I'm thinking.
because a
One sec.
corrective move in Elliott wave can actually make a new high. It can't it in some circumstances.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. So there's a few different ways. Can you see that now?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, even though, all right, so I'll just draw. I'm obviously, if we call this 1, 2, 3,
And if you can
4.
just zoom in on as much as you can on that, Benny, it's full screen, but it's still pretty small. That's all.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, so I think what
yeah,
we were
that's better.
talking about last time is we're looking for a sort of a five wave rise. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So even though it kind of made a new high there, I'm thinking now that's more likely, potentially that new high is part of a larger move. So it could be something like this, um, where we sort of do this and then have a, because I don't think we've had a blow off top yet. I mean, looking at Bitcoin in the past, in cryptocurrency, it likes to have that last wave, likes to be a parabolic leg. And the last wave is usually the largest wave. And we haven't seen that yet. So I'm leaning more towards something like this now where, it goes sideways and ends up forming like a triangle, or even potentially, something like this, which is what we call a flat. And um, it kind of goes like this, whereas this is the A, this is the B, and this is a C, and then it goes up. So I'm kind of thinking that we haven't seen that blow off top yet. And even though we made a new high, I still think it's part of that wave four. It does, because
Okay.
it just does structurally, it just doesn't look right to me just yet.
So in that scenario, if we've got one of those wave fours that's range bound, let's say in either scenario, does that give the green light to ETH, BTC, and alts to have a run?
Oh, it does. So what I find usually when Bitcoin's in a sideways movement, on the way down, alts will sort of get affected. So let's say on this wave up, or if we head down to here to 51k, this is the point where alts and ETH and that start to really pick up steam. And once Bitcoin's had that leg down, while Bitcoin does these two waves, alts generally bottom where I've put that circle in, and that's where I find, if we're in a sideways correction, that's where I find is the maximum point of return for alts. And then obviously alts die once Bitcoin sort of breaks out of that structure there. Once it sort of breaks out here, you hop back into Bitcoin and alts start dying again.
Yeah. So a
But
couple of
that's what I'm thinking. That's my hypothesis, I guess, at the moment.
yeah, because a couple of things that I'd point out is the extended like fifth wave or blow off top. In every previous cycle, it's been almost entirely like retail driven markets, and that's been a little bit different this time, where we had the sort of smart money was the big driver all the way early in the cycle, and also with alts. NFTs are kind of hard to get exposure to. So NFTs are all over the news, like everywhere at the moment. But it's a lot different for someone to come in and just buy altcoins or just buy, Litecoin or XRP when they heard about altcoins in the last media frenzy when it was all over the news. Whereas now they hear about NFTs and they're like, what are they? How do I buy a wallet. How do I set it up? Oh, it's $200 to mint or to transfer on ETH. Like, none of that is leading to a retail altcoin bubble alt season. So there's a few things that are just a little bit different, and it's kind of giving the market maybe a reason to pause. And maybe that's where the attention goes somewhere else, and we've seen it
Yeah.
kind of go into the gaming projects instead of NFTs just in the
Well,
last couple of
I'm
weeks.
really hoping SBF sort of makes an NFT index, or someone else, even on Uniswap, I guess someone else makes an NFT index where they, I don't know. I think it won't be too far off
There's a couple out
because
there in DeFi world, but there's none that have gone mainstream yet. And I've been telling FTX to make one for 2 years now.
yeah, yeah, I know the gaming index you've been hassling him for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to bring up the ETH BTC chart because it looks terrible.
ETH BTC, yeah, give me one sec. So, I mean, it doesn't look good now, except, however, I do still think there's a massive inverse head and shoulder playing out here. How it takes form, I'm not sure. Like, obviously, it's still range bound at the moment. It probably doesn't look ready just yet. I guess, we could probably maybe even expect something like this. But I think ultimately these are lows. I do think these are major lows here. I don't think FBTC is going to go below 0.022.
Yep.
How it gets there and when it breaks out, I don't know. Like in the big scheme of things, this IHS that we're looking at has been forming since 2018. So this is a weekly time frame. So I do think a major low is in an FBTC, and it is eventually going to go a lot higher. But how much longer it takes, I don't know. Like it's already taken 3 years. What if it takes another 12 months? I don't think it will take 12 months, but it's a possibility.
And I think last time you were saying, oh, it's too crowded of a trade to break out now, and look
It
at that
does feel
false
crowded because
breakout.
everyone's looking at it. I think it'll probably happen when everyone starts to lose hope, and I don't think people have lost hope yet.
No, they haven't. One thing I would say was institutions are silently coming for ETH, like they silently came for Bitcoin in the early days now, like adding it to the balance
Yeah.
sheets.
Now that you mention that, in the last couple of weeks, I've seen a few posts of big firms and funds putting a lot of money into F. So, I
And the
guess
other
that's a good
thing,
start.
the other concept I pitched the other day was remember like ICOs and everyone's buying their ETH and projects are holding all this ETH. $69 for an NFT, if ETH is the currency of that world, there's going to be a lot of people holding ETH for the same reasons, and that can be a huge driver. So, yeah, there's a couple of catalysts there.
Oh, definitely. I mean, F is so good to use as well. Like, if you've participated in DeFi, Uniswap, lending, borrowing, if you've participated in all these things, like, straight away you realize the value of F.
Um,
Actually, do you call it ETH or F?
oh,
Because
either or. But while you're saying that, do you want to maybe bring up a few of the others like Pancake Swap or just Binance Chain because that's where all the attention's gone because fees are super high,
yeah,
and that
I don't trade them. I don't know. I'm not a BSC fan, so I just don't really trade anything on BSC. I longed
neither am I, to be
BNB.
honest.
Yeah, I was like, I participated in the BNB rally just because it looked so great, and obviously FT had the same structure to me as FTT, and FTT started moving first,
Yep.
so I did catch a big chunk of the BNB move, but I haven't actually played anything on BSC at
Well,
all, really.
all I was going to say was that is the big opportunity. Again, another catalyst is Uniswap version 3. Aave, Synthetics. As soon as these guys and Vitalik's publicly said last week, we're ready to 100x scale ETH with Optimistic and ZK rollups. If that happens, that can be a massive driver for the next wave.
Well, that's it. I mean, right now, like the two things that are looking really strong to me is obviously Uni. Uni looks really strong. I think on daily we got this nice sort of bull flag forming. Obviously, Hayden Adams alluded to like just a couple of hours ago that Uni V3 is coming out soon. So I think the chart's looking ripe. Obviously, him alluding to Uni V3. I think Uni's setting up for another breakout to a new all-time high. And I think MATIC is as well. MATIC and Uni both look very similar to me. They've both got really nice bull flags forming. So I was, speculating maybe potentially that MATIC, might be the layer 2 solution for Uni V3. Maybe not. I'm not sure, but they both look identical to me in terms of structure right now, and they both look bullish. And I think they're both going to go to all-time highs probably fairly soon.
MATIC is like the go-to scaling for a lot of games and NFTs, I think, at the moment. So that's why that's got such a good-looking chart, and it's even been included in some of the gaming NFT baskets and indexes that have started to float around. I don't know. No, their technology I don't think is good for like transactions and swaps. I think Uniswap would almost definitely use optimistic
Optimism.
rollups, but
Yeah, fair enough.
anything else
But
that's
yeah,
standing out to you?
right now they're two that I'm sort of playing. They're they're good because they're very liquid. They're on FTX. They're on a lot of exchanges. But apart from those two, I'm in like a Bitcoin and an ETH scalp. So I'm not targeting new all-time highs for those two just yet. But MATIC and Uni, I do think will probably head to all-time highs just because they look stronger. And then it's just Uniswap coins for the moment, 40 to 50 to 100 mil market cap stuff that's basically only on Uniswap. They're the ones that seem to be trending really fucking hard at the moment. So
Do you want to bring up like the shitcoin index? Because I know we've spoken about the stages of the cycle. Like Bitcoin ran first, and then everyone was like, "When's ETH going to run?" And it finally had its run. We
well,
sort of
that
had
just
like a bit of a DeFi season in between, but then we had like a lot of large cap alts and then mid caps, and now shitcoin indexes kept going and made new highs when like all the other indexes haven't. And so to
yeah,
me, that's like the classic stages of a bull market cycle. So
yeah. I know. I'm getting the same vibes you are as well. Like, I actually looked at this the other day. I haven't actually played it to be honest, but 100%, it's looking stronger than all the other indexes right now. So, and I remember, as you were saying, that was like the telltale sign in 2017, or I mean, even in mini cycles, it's the shit coins that pump the hardest but last. So obviously, we didn't have the shitcoin index back then, so it's kind of handy that we have it now. But I mean, just taking, at first glance, having a look at this shitcoin index, this leg doesn't look complete at all. I'd say this would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This could potentially be like a sideways sort of correction here. So it might not be done yet. So I guess, to probably do something like this, sort of 3 A, B, C, D, E, and then another high, and that would be another 4 and another 5.
which
Because
is
obviously
like
this looks like an extended wave 3. So,
and it only
but
started the year at around like 1,000, 1,500, something like that. So I mean, that's nearly 800, 900% in like since the start of the year. Like that's the crazy sort of altcoin shitcoin gains that you see at the end of the bull market cycle.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the shitcoin index by far and away looks the most bullish index chart out of all of them to me. Yeah. Right now, I mean, structurally, it just doesn't look. If it turned here and began to crash, it would just look odd. I mean, as an Elliot wave practitioner, I always like to look for 3, 5 waves. And because we had this sort of choppy price action down here, that's immediately a 1, 2, 1, 2 to me. So then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. So it just doesn't look finished to me. It looks like it has more gas in the tank.
And what about the DeFi index? Does that look finished?
I mean, the DeFi index, it's been hard because a lot of the big hitters like ARV and SNX, I don't know, they look odd to me right now. Um, but as a whole, I guess this index here still kind of looks bullish as well. Yeah, I dare say this kind of looks like reaccumulation. So this is probably a wave 4. And I do think eventually that's going to pop up higher, probably do something like this, and we'll have another breakout as well.
It's not a blow off top and volumes
No,
decreasing.
yeah, it doesn't look like a blow off top. That's what I was saying. Haven't seen any blow off tops really in all the things I've been looking at, which is kind of what. So I just don't think this runs over yet. Even Bitcoin doesn't look like a blow off top. Nothing does.
No, and if you're going to say on fundamentals, you would say, well, blue chips and funds and corporate balance sheets are going to get exposure to DeFi. They're not going to get exposure to shitcoins. So it makes sense that money's going to flow into this sort of thing. A lot of whales that I'm talking to are all talking about 70 or 100 being the next stop, and then I think we have to have some sort of correction if we want to get to that ultimate target that people are saying for this halving cycle of 200, 300, 400k the next couple of years.
Yeah. So what's your what's your thoughts and your predictions for ultimate targets?
I just think that the other day we had that $8,000 pullback, and some people are saying, oh, it was because that information went out that whales were dumping, and then there was controversy because Crypto Quant said it was whales dumping, and Glassnode said no, it was in house. I think it turns out it was BlockFi. So I mean, does that count as them sending coins to sell? I don't know. But the point for me, the whole takeaway was: is the market really that fragile that the first alert that people get and the market drops 8K, which is like what, more than 10%? It's worrying when we know how many people are hodling, when we know how few
Yeah.
coins are on exchanges. So does that mean when we get to 70 or 100 and everyone goes, oh, I'm going to sell, that we just drop from 100 to 50 in a day? Like, that's what's worrying me, that there's
Well,
just no depth.
I don't think that would have happened if we had already have dipped. If we were already in a dip and we were already pulling back when that came out, I don't think it would have had much of an impact. But because it came out basically while Bitcoin was at all-time highs or had just pushed to all-time highs, I think it might have had more of an effect.
Almost
That's just
planned.
Yeah, that's just my hunch anyway. I mean, if Bitcoin was already down 30%, and then that came out, that would have been like, to me, that would have been like, oh, this is orchestrated FUD. I'm going to buy it. I don't care. But because
Yeah.
because it happened at a high, I kind of feel like, a lot of people got spooked because they thought, people were selling at highs. But yeah, I think we would have had a different outcome if Bitcoin wasn't already at an all-time high and had already done like a 20 or 30% dip or something like that. I think it would have been a different outcome.
See, I hadn't thought about it too much from that point of view. And you say that it was on like a Sunday night as well, when it's just poked its head out to new all-time highs, and then it technically all of a sudden it makes it look like a fake out or a false breakout. So maybe it is a little bit of something orchestrated, because that chart just doesn't look, as you say, like a natural waveform.
Yeah, see, this is what I mean. I thought, either I was expecting it just to continue straight up into the 70Ks, and then I would have been like, this is feeling blow off toppy. Maybe we should sell. But just the way where it's pulled back, like, I just don't think it looks right. It doesn't have the right structure to me to call it a top. So I think, like I showed you before, it's probably going to end up being like a more sideways correction, and then we'll get a blow off top to all time highs later. I mean, and if we do get that sideways correction, I mean, that'll be, that's welcome as well, because then we get the opportunity to play alts, which we know we end up making more money in anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I was saying, we're talking about in the pre-interview, that it doesn't just feel like there's hype and mania on Twitter or on YouTube necessarily. I don't know. Maybe there's different reasons behind that. But I mean, both our groups, we were saying before, have had like record inflows of people. So there are some signs, I guess, of the inflows, but it just feels a lot different to 2017. I mean, I'm interested to know what people
uh,
at home think in the comments.
I think I saw a thread the other day on Twitter. I can't even remember who posted it, but it was basically saying that searches for Bitcoin, it's obvious that the Bitcoin rally has been driven by institutions, because searches for Bitcoin aren't at prior 2017 all-time highs yet,
Yeah.
but searches for Ethereum are. So that, if, however you want to portray, decipher that data, is basically saying, retail is here, but they're into other things, and obviously institutions are driving Bitcoin. But all in all, I don't think we have as much retail here as we did in 2017 yet.
Yeah. And I guess
They might come when we get a blow off top, like, who knows? But
yeah,
yeah.
that is going to be a different stage versus every other cycle, as I said, and that's what I'm interested to see how that plays out. Do too many people just see Bitcoin at like 70 or 80K and just go, oh, it's too expensive? Even ETH at say 3,000K, are they just going to say, oh, all these things are too expensive because of that unit bias that beginners have? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wondering, to see if it's going to be very different to previous cycles, and we might get a double top that we've never had instead of a blow off top. You just don't know. So
I mean, I'm excited for ETH in the future. I do think that we have a massive base forming, and I do think at some point in the next couple of years, it is going to massively outperform Bitcoin. But like I was saying right now, this base, this massive inverse head and shoulder that we can see, is already 3 years in the making. We don't know how much longer it's going to take until it really breaks out. Could be another 12 months, could be 2 years. I'm not saying it will be. I'm just saying it could be. But right now, ETH still feels crowded. So I think it'll probably come later, once people give up hope on FBTC and maybe FOMO back into Bitcoin or something.
Well, one scenario that I've been talking about for like over a year now is that there's this upcoming upgrade with ETH, and one of the things that's going to happen is the miners get pissed off, and that's exactly what's happened in the past week or so. They talk about, oh, we're going to fork off, we're going to do our own thing, and this is the perfect backdrop for Ethereum Classic to start making some noise and say, hey, come over here, miners, and we'll stay as proof of work and you can make money here, but you've got to start to shill ETC and tell people it's the real Ethereum. And now Grayscale have got the ETC trust, and Barry Silbert, he's been a big advocate of ETC since the start. There's a whole story there I could get into. And they also own CoinDesk, so through the media, through those guys, they're all very influential. This can give ETC a massive breath of life. And if ETH stumbles at all, or they can even make it look like the fight's way bigger than it is and amplify it. So all of that can create like a bit of a bear narrative for ETH, maybe a bull case for ETC. That could be really good for all the other platforms like Cardano and every other competing layer one. So there's all those sort of scenarios which can be like alt seasons that play out while Bitcoin's range bound. So there's heaps of things that I'm excited to play out. I don't think it's going to be boring.
I think that could 100% be a catalyst for a short-term sort of momentum play, but I mean, the counter argument to that is, DeFi isn't on ETC. How would they get stable coins onto ETC? That's, to me right now, that's the backbone of F.
Yeah.
It's the DeFi and the people using DeFi, and that's not going to be anywhere other than F. We're not going to get USDC or anything on ETC. So I think that narrative could potentially be short-lived.
Yeah. I mean, even the Binance Chain stuff at the moment, it's a little bit like, well, hold on. Are those metrics and are those data points really true? Cardano said the other day, 1,000 projects from ETH are ready to come over to Cardano. It's like, well, hold on. Like, let's just wait and see if we get the first 10 or 100 before we start saying 1,000. So, I love it. I love the competition. It's all healthy and it's all fun. But as long as there's money and 30,000 new people a day entering the space, as Willy Woo said today, it's not going to be boring. So, anything else to share with us to finish off, mate?
Not really. I mean, I don't particularly, I don't want to show you my bags. I think all the sort of higher market cap stuff that I'm kind of in or looking at the moment, I kind of, I think I covered. Yeah.
Awesome.
I think, like we just said, I think the DeFi index kind of looks okay, but what's worrying me is like the mega caps in DeFi, like SNX and ARV, they just don't look too healthy to me. So I'm thinking even within DeFi, I think the mega caps might, have some cooling off to do, and it's probably the mid cap DeFi stuff which will be dragging that index up.
They've literally gone up like, I don't know, I hate to even think. It could be 1,000x. So there's going to be some profit takers along the way.
100%, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, guys, I'll put the link down to Benny's group as well. I think they're taking newcomers, but maybe with limited chat functionality because it's just too crowded in Discord. We've been overwhelmed as well, so we're doing our best as well to take in newcomers. So that's the bull market cycle. But,
bull market problems, yeah.
Is it a discount code or something down below, Penny? Anyway, I'll put the link down below, and appreciate you joining us again today, mate.
No problem. Thanks for having me. It was a good chat.
Cheers, guys. See ya.
Cheers.